Hello everyone. Today I figure, as with the recent release of Harry Potter Wizards Unite, now is a reasonably good time to discuss the general concept of augmented reality and some of the safety concerns that people may still have. When the previous game by the same company, Pokemon Go, was released, there was a lot of concerns about safety, some of which are unfounded and a few are worth some consideration. I mean, there was at one point even a news article about someone who, when trying to catch Pokemon, managed to sound a little too much like they were committing a robbery in America, and someone actually came out with a shotgun and confronted them. That's fairly extreme and quite unlikely to happen, but basically, yeah. So, for those of you who don't particularly understand what actually is either Wizards Unite or Pokemon Go, the basic principle is that, well, you've got the actual real life map of where you are is used as the game map. So to go somewhere in the world, you literally walk there. And then various places of interest, like pretty much every church and various statues and famous tombs, many other areas of interest are then represented as special landmarks, which Pokestops, or in the case of Wizards Unite, their inns, where you would then basically recover resources to generally be able to continue playing. And what then randomly pops up is either Pokemon that you catch, or in the case of Wizards Unite, various bits where magic has gone wrong and you don't have to fix it with spells. Again, the maps are basically the same, just that points of interest are sometimes represented slightly differently. Because it's not just getting resources, there's also these, well, even gyms in the case of Pokemon Go, where you can then do various player versus player battles. And then there's, which is similarly replaced in Wizards Unite with fortresses, where again, basic principle is where you then do various. In that case, it's fights against computer controlled opponents. Instead, all players work together. So that's basically the idea, and of course that you go around actually walking places. So with that in mind, there's sometimes some considerations that have to be taken to care. The absolute first thing that you've probably been told if you ever heard of Pokemon Go is don't drive when trying to play a mobile game, or anything like that. That's even more distracted than trying to phone someone. I mean, it's on the other hand, if someone's a passenger in a car, then they can still play the game. Just that these games are intended for walking, and therefore certain features as you walk. Generally, as you walk, you gain progress towards, well, improving your character, gaining resources and such, and the games will very specifically notice if you are moving too fast and will not count that distance travelled towards any progress you make. That said, someone who is a passenger in a car can perhaps catch Pokemon as they drive past, and If it's a quiet road, then yeah, it would be reasonable to suggest that the driver maybe pulls in somewhere if there's a particularly one that you want to catch, or you know, take certain routes to get more past more Pokestops as such. But only to some point, of course. If it's a busy day, you've got somewhere you need to go, or then again the driver still has to primarily take into concern not crashing a vehicle, because obviously that's much more important than anything that you could get from these mobile games. Now, another concern is the idea of trespassing. Some people would be concerned that with these points of interest in Pokemon turning up, then it might encourage you to go somewhere where you're not allowed to. Well, as a general rule, that's not as much of a concern as you might think, because the the Pokestops or the inns, the various landmarks, are generally are positioned in public places. So generally, you would have to just walk by them along the street rather than actually go inside a place. It's useful if it's somewhere that's not going to necessarily be open to the public all the time. There are a few occasionally Pokestops in locations where you wouldn't necessarily be able to visit all the time, such as a National Trust place. They're quite rare, and well, therefore you don't have to worry too much about it. You can a normal walking route through any place that's got a particularly reasonable measure of landmarks is not going to be a place where you have to worry about anything like that. Now, as for the individual Pokemon or magical instances supposed to solve in Wizards Unite, there, well, those, while they do appear in more random places, they, well, well, the actual how close, you don't actually have to be that close to them. As soon as they appear visibly on the screen, you can tap them, and that's close enough. You know, you don't literally have to go precisely where it is shown to be. Useful if that would mean going in someone's house, because obviously you're not going to want to do that. And again, with even the Pokestops and their locations, again, you don't have to go that close to them. Generally, being outside will always be safe enough. I mean, the AR mode itself, the kind of augmented reality idea, is that it pastes on top of the screen. When you hold out the screen, you see it'll use a camera footage to show what's past the phone, and then superimposes on top of that, well, either Pokemon or Get Wizards Unite, various magical creatures or such, to make it look as though those things are in the real world. That does, however, lead to one of the points of where you do have to actually have some responsibility, because that does mean you would be holding up your phone with a camera on it, and if you're in a public place, people generally don't really want strangers randomly looking at them through cameras, even if the footage isn't actually being recorded. For such situations, if you're in a public place, it's generally better to switch off the AR mode and just have like the Pokemon or magical creature you're trying to catch just be shown in front of like a generic woodland area, and then and then it doesn't matter which way you're actually holding the phone, you don't have to point at anyone in any way that could be particularly concerning to someone who doesn't want to be videoed. When it comes to any online communication, there's generally some degree of concern of what these people are that you're talking to and whether they, how do you know who you're talking to? Could you be talking to someone dangerous? Could they? And in the case of these sort of games, in case of Pokemon Go, that's not particularly a concern because the way making friends in the game works is through what's referred to as friend codes, and the actual amount of communication you can have with someone is actually quite low, quite limited. There's no concern that someone will, have to worry about someone using this to try and convince someone to meet up with someone they shouldn't. So, and of course, it's designed that way because that's quite a genuine concern with online interactions. What a friend code allows you to do is, you can keep track of some. You can see what their avatar is, their username, what Pokemon they've selected as a buddy in that name. There's then also, as is common with various games that encourage you to have friends, is the idea of sending gifts, which is the main thing you can do with friends, and that where you collect gifts, you send them, and unlike an actual gift, you can just open the box up and take what's inside yourself. It only works as it's something you send a friend to encourage interaction with other people. I mean, the other interactions you can do is trading Pokemon or doing a one-on-one battle, but all of this fundamentally, there's no actual way to talk to people through Pokemon Go. You have to arrange it all outside of that, and that's because you're expected to, again, your friends are expected to be people you've actually got communication with. Someone you'd actually then be able to meet up with and then do the various trading functions with. Because there's no actual communication, if someone did take your friend code and start distributing it to other people, well, those people, all they can really do is just send you more gifts, which gives you in-game items, and there's no real way to find someone through this. I mean, the only real way that anyone that I've ever actually met other people, particularly that I weren't already friends with, is in Pokemon Go with the concept of raids. Now, raids are when there's a specific major fight in which basically loads and loads of people are expected to group together to fight off one particularly powerful boss. Now, in the picture I've shown there, there's a example of what happens. You've got those various landmarks where you have gyms for battling. Well, these ones are then announced ahead of time, and then because ideally you would want somewhere between 5 to 20, depending on how powerful the raid boss is, to join in. Now, because this is something the game is encouraging people to be at this particular location, again, all of these Pokestops or the major locations, gyms, are public places, so it's somewhere that people can walk in front of, and it's not particularly a problem. Obvious now, if you literally stood on the pavement and blocked it and didn't let people go through, that's a problem. But that's more a function of people behaving in groups rather than the functionality of the game. Of course, because raids give people a reason to be in a specific location at a time. If you were worried about someone talking to strangers and such, that is one way in which Pokemon Go could cause that to happen. I mean, for the more higher level raids, it's generally advised that they have channels where people chat programs where they would then arrange to actually go to these together so that they could actually fight them, because some of the low level ones a person might be able to do on their own, but the high level ones, no. I mean, so that's, in terms of meetings, running into strangers because of this game, that is the one way that this actually could happen. I mean, basically, in that case, it is if someone, basically, if someone's going to be doing this sort of thing, like basically keep it interested and just talk to people. If you know someone's going, checking out these sort of raids and stuff, then make sure they know to keep friends and family posted on where they are. So things in general. I mean, in terms of other concerns, I mean, with both of these games, you don't need to pay money to actually play it. It's then following the online model of, well, you get resources such as Pokeballs or spell energy to keep playing, and going to these various locations on the map gets you more. They've then got a store where you can then buy more resources if you need it. Usually slightly more special items that can then help you advance a bit faster. But again, these then take special currency that you can acquire throughout the game, just generally playing. But it's a lot faster than if you actually pay real money for it. If you want to get new items, new clothing items, or special other items, if you want to, you can just, with a bit of patience, get them, or you can get the relevant resources by paying for them, which does, of course, mean if, say, your child is playing this game, then in that case, you would want to make sure the phone is not set up to allow just general purchases automatically. You would want, otherwise there has been incidents where a phone's been left in the care of someone who's then accidentally gone along and accidentally made lots of purchases. That can occasionally happen. I mean, ultimately, in terms of safety with these sort of games, I mean, a lot of it really does boil down to, I mean, as an adult playing these games, basically be aware of your environment at every given time. You hear occasionally stories of someone accidentally walking into something because they've been a bit distracted. make sure that you know where you are, keep in contact with people at all times, or go out with a friend. These are social games. They are intended to be games where they're generally meant to work better if you're going out with a friend or with family. If the young member of your family is interested in this game, then talk to them about it, be interested, and maybe join in with them. If parents always telling children go outside, get some air, and honestly, I think this is a good way to give some structure to that. These games encourage, you have daily tasks. They say like encourage you to do all these things each day, which means then you have to, if you do that, you're going outside, going on walks each day, and that's good. Yeah. And a lot of the fears are mostly unfounded, or just it's something different, so maybe it's scary. But some basic common sense can go quite a long way. Okay. Really, the only real concern I would say is, when doing things like catching Pokemon in a public place, it is best to switch the AR mode off so you don't have to worry about pointing the camera at random people, because that just might upset people. But other than that, always just keep, if you're going out, just basically just a standard idea of, if you're going out somewhere, keep people in contact with you and just let people know what you're doing. Okay. And that pretty much concludes that now. I will be here same time next week on another subject. If you've got anything you'd want to talk about, any questions, anything that concerns you about, technology and how it affects society, and concerns about safety, then let us know, and that could be something we can talk about. Yeah. A lot of the times it's all about having the right knowledge. Anyway, that's it for now. See you next week. Bye.